due to the condition of the vehicle that our senior citizens are being transported in. This has to come up tonight, and this does have to be done. They are one of our most precious townspeople we have, and we have to take care of them. Thank you.
Mr. Pasquale.
Pasquale.
Is that microphone working now?
I don't know. 12 Hickory Lane. Edith, I'm trying to help. The cost of the vehicle is $53,470. The town, and you're going to get an $8,000 grant. Well, wait for the plus. That's what I'm going to ask you. That brings us up to the, seriously, the town's going to give you 38.5.
Please address your comments through the chair.
You do look better without the beard. You really.
I'm also harder to get along with.
Mr. Moderator, the price of the vehicle is $53,000. The town's going to give $38,000 and a grant. That's $46,000. So mathematically, there's $7,000 more. And I know you're running a bazaar. You're running a benefit or something. My question is, if you don't make $7,000 on the bazaar, how are you going to get the vehicle?
I already have it.
Mrs. O'Leary.
Well, where did the money come from? That's fine. We got it. I guess.
Got the money, John.
Okay. Legitimately?
Treasure, legitimately. Thank
Mrs.
you
O'Leary,
very
you
much.
have the floor.
Very happy you're in support of it. Always have been. And I thank the general public for the support as well, and the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. So now you know how to vote, folks.
On the motion, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Motion. Oops. Gentlemen in the dark section of the audience. Please state your name and address, sir.
George Luongo, 18 Ridgeway Road. I'm just curious, is this the van that I see parked at the recycling center that is being replaced? And I'm just curious to get some statistics. How old is that van? I vaguely remember we just purchased that van. It seems like not too long
It's coming
ago.
up 6 years
Mrs.
old.
O'Leary,
And,
to answer Mr. Luongo's question.
You know, how many miles on it? And also, if it was to be repaired instead of replaced, what would be the cost of that? And are we doing as much as we can to maintain this vehicle? It seems like an awful lot of money to spend, even if it is just 6 years.
Mrs. O'Leary.
Mr. Longo, with reference to the age of the van, it is coming up, it's 5.5 years old, and it's had many repairs, and as you know, like police vehicles, stop, start, you know, extra miles, 125 miles per day, you have a lot of extra push on it, and consequently, it does need repair from time to time, and we have spent a lot of money repairing it. And for the safety of our elders, I feel at this particular time, and certainly each mechanic that has looked at it recently, it's, you know, we keep putting money into it, and it's time to replace it. And as far as the money is concerned, I do have discretionary money that is there in the treasury with Mr. Dow and Josephine Doherty, and the $15,000 at least, plus another $1,500 that I made on Saturday at our flea market, and the money's there to do it. And you know, I don't know any other department that has ever come before town meeting with money up front to buy a vehicle and have the questions asked, are we taking care of it, is it safe and mechanically being taken care of. That's one of my first priorities, that we see that these people ride in safety. So consequently, I really feel that it's time for replacement, and especially with money coming up front of $15,000 plus to put in to make the difference.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Leary. Mr. Bagan.
Yes, Mrs. O'Leary, certainly the elderly do deserve safety and a new van possibly. Is the old van going to be traded in?
Yes, it is.
So that helps also.
And that'll help some more.
Thank you.
Every little bit counts.
On the motion, Ms. Jennings.
Ms. O'Leary, do you already have someone that's interested in purchasing it? Because we already have a fire truck and a police...
I'm not interested in anybody purchasing it other than turning it in for money.
On the motion, this is a motion to bond and therefore requires a 2/3 vote. On the motion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It is not unanimous. Will all those in favor please raise their right hands, and would my tellers please go to work? Ms. Benjamin. 36. 36. Mr. Mosseri. 80. 80. Mr. Kazatsa. 80. 80. 80. All those opposed, please raise your right hand. Are there any opposed in your section, Mr. Kazaza? Are there any opposed in your section? One. Mr. Mosseri? 5. Ms. Benjamin? 5. The vote is 196 in favor, 11 opposed. The motion is carried. Article 7. Is there motion under Article 7? Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to adopt the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 17E, as specified in Article 7, as printed in the warrant.
Now, the chair has a question for town council, and that is, the chair went to the internet and looked at the Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, and there were 2 sections that were conspicuous by their absence, one being 17E and the other one being 41D. How come the internet doesn't know about these sections?
Town Council Darren Klein from Copeland and Page through the moderator. I can't really speak to why the internet doesn't know of these things, but those are recent revisions to the statutes. I actually have a copy with me if you'd like to see it, but those statutes as described in the warrant accurately have been passed by the Massachusetts legislature. I don't know why they weren't on the internet, but they are good law that require town meeting approval.
Well, I'm greatly reassured. Thank you very much, Town Council. On the motion under Article 7, does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends this will benefit some people in the town with very little financial impact on the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sturdivant. Mr. O'Leary, for the Board of Selectmen's recommendation.
Board of Selectmen recommends 5-0 on this, Mr. Moderator. And I'd like to call on Dick Simmons, the assessor, to discuss this, and also with the liberty of the chair here, also probably Article 8 too, pertinent, germane.
Okay, you're talking about 22 as well?
No, 7 and 8.
7 and 8, just 7 and 8.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. I'm Richard Simmons. I'm the assessing manager for the town of North Reading. Both of these articles, 7 and 8, are proposed extensions of existing exemptions that have been voted by town meeting. In 1986, when the legislature passed in their wisdom Clause 17 and Clause 41, there was no attempt at that juncture to increase the requirements under both of these exemptions, the maximum requirements, by a cost of living increase, or COLA. This is an attempt to rectify that problem into the future. The requirement under 17E, which gives an individual over 70 $200.88 exemption on their taxation, would increase the maximum requirement for assets from $40,000 to $41,960, and would allow them to increase by the COLA on an annual basis. This isn't very much of an increase, but at least it's an attempt to maintain the current structure with inflation, maintaining it at a pace with inflation. Similarly, under Clause 41D, which we'll be discussing under Article 8, this allows people over 70 to receive a $500 exemption. There are two components here, income and assets. And of those two components, they apply to individuals who are not married and individuals who are married. The current maximum income for a 41D is $13,000 for an individual, single person, and $15,000 for a married couple. That would increase to $13,637 a year and $15,735 a year, respectively. The assets for an individual is currently at $28,000, and for a married couple, $30,000, and those respectively would increase to $29,372 and $31,470. So the change would be minimal, but at least it keeps pace with inflation, and that's what this is an attempt to do.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Is there any further discussion on the main motion under Article 7? Hearing none, this is an adoption of a state law, requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, unanimous. Article 8, Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to adopt Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41D, that's not Clause 41, Clause 41D, as specified in Article 8 is printed in the warrant.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Heard the motion. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation? Mr. Sturtevant.
Finance Committee recommends for the same reasons as Article 7.
Is there any, does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation, Mr. O'Leary?
Again, the Board of Selectmen unanimously recommends.
Is there any further discussion? You've already heard the description from Mr. Simmons while we were talking about Article 7. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, unanimous. Article 9. Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Moderator, I move to reauthorize the Emergency Medical Service Revolving Fund as voted in Article 15, establishing a revolving fund for emergency medical services at the April 1999 town meeting as specified in Article 9 as printed in the warrant.
You've heard the motion. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation, Mr. Sturtevant? Mr. Jones.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee does not recommend. Reason for it is that we have previously approved this twice, which ultimately calls for members of the fire department to reach an agreement with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Selectmen to approve. This has not been done. This would authorize that same procedure again. We would prefer now not to authorize it, let the firefighters negotiate with the Board of Selection, and once an agreement has been reached, then bringing the article to town floor for approval.
Does the Board of Selectmen have a recommendation, Mr. O'Leary?
Mr. Moderator, the Board of Selectmen recommends on a vote of 4, 0, and 1 abstention. We're in favor of retaining this revolving fund, or the reauthorization of it. Since May, there's been a change in the makeup of the Board of Selectmen, and we thought it in the sense of fairness, that the two new members of the Board of Selectmen and the Fire Department who are advocating this non-emergency transport system be given the